And when you get to YouTube, Grand Shade Showroom is what you want to search for. So first one that says
This one?
does that say live?
Let's see when it's live.
It's about 30 seconds. I thought it was Showroom. Oh, refresh.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go to his actual.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Okay. Do you mind turning that around? So now we're webcasting to YouTube
Oh,
as well. So if you have an issue where you don't want to allow public use yet, you can, take care of those legalities
without going through Zoom.
without going to Zoom. This is
Yes.
this is going directly from the sign app.
You're doing it through Zoom now, right?
Yeah.
So the sign app actually is what provides all these different services. So everything just runs through.
So we wouldn't even need to do Zoom. Think about it.
Well,
You only need
The only
to
reason they're using Zoom is
Another door.
yeah, it's a back door.
Oh,
the only reason we're using Zoom is for the public viewers.
right.
So they can see anything that's in the courtroom without having to participate.
But they would need to be signed into.
Then we just
We
have
need to
to.
send them the link.
You can set up a link. What we're seeing a lot of circuits do, and we've spoken about this. They'll set up a links on their website, and depending on which courtroom they want to access, they can.
I've seen that.
I've seen it as simply as just a page of links that says, courtroom 403, courtroom 402,
Yeah, I've seen
with
that.
a judge name or something like that.
Now,
Yeah, that's real simple. I mean,
yeah, we don't have to use YouTube. If you want to use a private server, you can do so as well. We had that conversation, Ben and I, that, with today's, culture, if you see something that you don't like, you can easily have it kicked off a platform.
And that's gonna be a bigger issue.
So if they're talking about, if a judge is
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
YouTube or someone may say, hey, this is inappropriate, now it's kicked off.
Same for Twitch, and,
Yeah.
and a lot of circuits are having to kind of look at hosting something on their own
Right,
because of
so
that.
Microsoft IIS media servers will work. Wowza servers will work. Which is another. So you can set.
so I'm confused as to why you're saying you wouldn't need Zoom then.
Because they're using it for public access.
Just only for public access.
Oh, it's only for public access.
Yeah.
So
Well,
people
sometimes
will just
attorneys
call
want to
in,
participate.
or
Yeah.
they'll just join in and they're muted and they just watch.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
We're doing that early on.
Yeah.
And you hope that they have their camera off and not doing anything.
Right. But that's the other thing is now you have judges who are doing that as part of their opening, is talking about what's appropriate. You may not be driving while you're on a call.
Yes.
You're in court. Act like you're actually in court. So
Oh, so you can't be at surgery. Like,
you can't get surgery, right?
Why would somebody?
I did see that.
Oh, that
What's something to do?
Somewhere.
It was a traffic violation.
Oh wait, was that the surgeon?
The surgeon shows up. I think he was trying to pull a "I'm really important," and the judge was not having it.
Yeah. I did hear about it. I thought you meant the person was in.
Anyway, all right.
I thought it was someone that was receiving the surgery and they were,
No.
I'm
in surgery right now.
with surgery, it really hurts. Come here quick.
Okay, can you show bringing up a document? Because one of the things they were talking about yesterday, when they have the jury selection, they have a jury list. So now they have this little tablet that they pass around between the attorneys, and they have a stylus and they cross people up.
It's just a circuit tablet
Oh, okay.
or touchscreen.
I am taking.
But what they were asking about is if we could bring that jury selection list up, and they would be able to use touchscreens to be able to.
Let's see what is on that.
jurors.
firmware.
Technologies in this building?
There's your-
Is that the same Tyler Technologies?
Are they?
And the fourth floor?
On the fourth floor.
No, I did not.
Okay.
Yeah,
Call
we
these
need to
people
go
down
there.
here.
So really?
Nah.
Say, listen up, this is what we wanna do.
You're using Odyssey also?
We're using Odyssey for e-filing at state court. And several of the different departments within the county have some version of a Tyler product, whether it's Brazos or whatever, whatever they're using. Eagle.
Eagle.
I think Eagle is being used,
I
Brazos.
have no idea what time these done for, but
The judicial group backed out of the contract with Tyler because of the way that integration was going and not going. They kind of just.
Spaghetti. It's spaghetti.
Sure make it look good though.
They
do.
do. They do.
It looks
And they
fantastic.
sell it well.
I know that.
We had so many project
Oh,
managers during our time, like the turnover, we're like, this is not working.
so Synap has. You know, if there's videos that you show, or if there's video, this can be an image.
Can you annotate it?
Absolutely. Anything that goes.
So you can take the file, plug it into there,
It's a PDF.
and then,
You couldn't even have
But
to
then
be
you
pulling for the network.
But
But you're not annotating the PDF.
no, you're not annotating. You're annotating on.
on the screen, oh, so
Yeah,
it's not
straight
the
up
same
screen.
document.
Yeah.
No. But
So
when
you save the screen.
when
Hold
you,
on, hold on. So we could do different colors for different attorneys, so you could keep track of which attorneys are striking which witnesses. Once they're done with the annotation, what do we do with that document?
at the end.
I can say this, because this worked out really well for us, is for anything on the display, not document cameras,
Touchscreens?
no, what do you call your DC3 Neo? I'm sorry, you don't call it document
Visualizer.
camera. Visualizer.
Still not.
Yeah, so document camera visualizer. So if somebody puts something on there, and it's a piece of evidence, or whether it's a document or, a set of keys or something like that, we are able to enter that straight into the records. And you can have someone annotate on the screen, a record number, and take that photo, and I've got it mapped to a network drive that our court reporter has access to. And so instantly, that's on the court report. She can just be looking at it right there in Windows Explorer and drag that into whatever folder she needs, so she can instantly have access to that image of evidence. So it's a fantastic way to use that. So it's saved. Yeah, exactly. It's saved.
And
so
now. Alright. You can also capture this directly into your DCR recording.
So you're using DCR also?
Mhm.
For what?
For all of our courtroom audio.
No.
For what? Yeah.
For what? Oh, court reporters actually like to use it, because our court reporters don't want to use it.
So we have multiple court reporters who use it across the board. Some court reporters are still using Steno, and the ones that are doing something else, like using their Steno machine, will run it as a backup. So we
Now,
require
they
that they
secretly
use.
record some of their stuff as backups, but
Well, some of them are just using DCR as their
that's
backup.
a good thing.
And we've actually got a line running in for them, so it saves it on our local machine there, mirrors it onto the network for backup. and then they can pull the audio straight in so that if something screws up with their steno, they've got a recording of it going right into their computer.
Yeah, so that 8-channel system's there, so we've got all the microphones are channeled out. I think we did 4 over the 2 recorded there. But yeah, we did 8-channel systems there, so we recorded everything. Back to the jury selection thing, does that sound like that would work for you to mark it up that way and save it as a picture out into the network that you'd be able to pull up and print out? Is that what you do with it after that, or what happens to it?
Well, technically, right now, once you're handwriting it, and we file it in and save it and scan it in the Odyssey and keep it that way.
So it would kind of be the same thing.
Right.
Well, it skips the scan.
I was to say you aren't scanning.
But it's
Oh,
on,
they're physically doing it on paper? I think you said they had a tablet.
They were
No,
doing it
we-
on, no, that's something we were testing out in our mock trial.
Oh, okay.
So we actually connected the, what did that tell you? The click share to the laptop. Let them strike every item on there, and then they pass it to the next person, you know, back and forth. And then, they saved it afterwards. the file.
Pulling tabs.
Mhm.
Well, this skips a lot of steps.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't have to pass anything around. You can just tap.
They can do it from their desk.
that's if they
or
have,
table.
that's if they have the tablets though. So we provide them with tablets. And they
Yeah, we would have to provide them with tablets. They
Right,
don't,
their
they don't,
desk.
they don't get that.
They don't bring.
They can't take the data.
Yeah, well, I would,
Well, you don't want.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So that's so yeah. You, just like mine.
And they annotate at the same time, like you're over here annotating,
Yeah, go ahead.
somebody else over here.
I can,
Yeah, but
So
so
you
with
do it over
different
there?
colors, so you can
So,
see.
yeah. So you have.
So that could be done right at the table,
Yeah.
because if you're doing jury selection in the room, in the courtroom, because the table is gonna have a, touchscreen on it, they could be doing it. at the
Yeah, you
same
can
time, so
have
there's no passing
up
back
to-
and forth.
So they can sit each at each table,
Yeah.
and nobody has to stand between them, passing the back and
But
forth.
I would still put the clerk between them because what I wouldn't want is simultaneous touching. You know,
Yeah.
so it's like defense, it's your turn to strike.
Oh, that's how it's.
State,
Mhm.
here's your turn. Because if you do it at the same time, then it's like,
Was
well,
that
whose
yours?
turn is it?
Yeah.
I got you,
Yeah.
I got you.
Well, Application devices at once.
There's no referee with a whistle.
Well, the other thing is, if you put touchscreen monitors though, you don't even have to provide
That's what I'm saying,
those tablets.
because it's a big, then they don't have to worry about wiping everything down in between and whatever else, because you're on this screen and I'm doing it right here. Okay, now I strike, and then they strike. We're wiping the monitors, and once we're done, preferences.
When you mentioned Zoom,
Yes.
was it all sign up or just, it's, your solution,
Yeah.
your solution plus another product?
It's another
Several.
solution.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood.
No, wait. Hold on. We may have, because SignApp has, if you want to talk about this, it has
Yeah,
commands.
Right, which is some of that particular courtroom, if it's, right now it's limited to 4, we're expanding on it, but if you need more than that, then you do need.
Yeah, because we're gonna do an iPad with the security mount so that it's there, because the judge is gonna wanna look at like the audio stuff to be able to mute, sidebar, all that kind of stuff. So that'd be different setup for them as it would be for the clerk, the bailiff, whoever's at their station. We like to use the commands within the Wolf Vision if we can, just because it's all one unit.
Mhm.
You're not, this thing is controlling your courtroom basically. Okay, now we need to talk about your signature pad.
Yeah, I was trying to go to this.
So, how the system currently works, is it, are you putting up an app or are you putting up a web browser?
On the Odyssey,
Yes.
He has Odyssey up right now.
Oh, you do?
I'll show Yes.
because in Odyssey,
You want
they
to
have-
connect? I mean,
They were great.
I mean,
What they'd like to be able to do is to be able to do that signature from the touchscreen, have it upload to Odyssey.
Yeah,
Which
just-
device are we connecting to?
So now when it's through the Odyssey, when they're doing their signature stuff, so they have a signature pad that's a USB.
Okay. Windows and K, and then show.
And it shows up on there,
Sure.
and it somehow goes into Odyssey.
Oh, down there.
They want to be able to do it through the touchscreen. Why should they have all these signature pads? Okay, that's a question. But there's also.
Okay. Switch to that screen.
That's one thing that I'm doing.
I don't know that that's considered digital. It's an annotation is what it is.
Did it connect?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It pops up a box and that's what they sign, and it to me looks like an annotation. But you're telling Odyssey where to put it. Sure.
Oh, gotcha. And so Odyssey is technically applying a signature. Maybe. Because that's a discussion I've had with a couple of judges who do not like the details of how that works. Because there's a difference between annotating on a screen and creating a digital signature.
They sell these signature
I'm with
pads.
you. I'm with you.
I don't think it's needed.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what I'm hoping is that you wouldn't need all those signature pads.
So can I control?
Sure.
Just trying to create a document. Have you ever signed anything in here? Or do you mind if I log in as myself?
That's one. That's a very public feel.
Yeah.
to it.
Because
It does, right?
Right next to.
it was at the end of the hotel downstairs. That's. See the step coming down to the bench, and I almost biffed it on this attorney table.
I
I just had to file a claim against the Cat County.
Glad you didn't have.
I wrote, I got something about corrected documents without correcting the document. And I can't remember what we were talking about. It was early on in the presentation when you were asking me a question about it. Correcting a document. Something about correcting a document. I just quickly scribbled it down. At least it was.
Maybe you had to correct the document.
No. I think it's. Had to do with the attorney tables. All right, while she's doing that, do you mind if we talk about digital signage real quick?
Go.
So we can use Sign App now for digital signage. If you have a hosted solution, so if it's a cloud-based, something like AppSpace, you can create your digital signage on that solution. And then there's a place for Sign App where you put in the URL. So when it's not in use, you can hit that URL and it can show whatever your digital signage is on all the sign apps and the receivers. With the next firmware, we're actually going to have interactive digital signage. So if you create some sort of template where the user actually can click into things, they can click to it without pulling out of the digital signage. Like a kiosk.
Like a kiosk.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll be able to do that on our receivers, our sign apps, sign app pures.
Some more sign-ups.
Huh?
I may be buying some more signups because
Right.
we've been talking about digital signage and trying to figure out what we want to do.
Yep.
But if I can keep the signage in-house and then just have the access points, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, AppSpace is a great. The nice thing about AppSpace, first 5 devices that you're sending to that connect are free. If you're not sending to more than 5, or if you want to use it as a test since you already have signups,
Mhm.
you can create an AppSpace account. Perfect.
Gotcha.
Set up some test templates and see how it works for you.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Then what software do you guys use for jury management?
We have an in-house system that is used for jury management. I think that they are about to transition over to something from Tyler. I can't remember what it's called, but I don't handle the Superior Court clerk stuff. So right now they're using an old IBM, or rather an AS400 system, like IBM AS400 for jury management. It's custom programming that
I guess.
and they've got, yeah. The programmers there are pretty phenomenal. They can do anything you ask them to do, but it's a black and green screen. Some people want to move away from it, but every time we go to move away from it, somebody will come and demo something. They're like, "Can you do this?" And I'm like, "No, we can't do that." Like, yeah, that's part of our process. We have these 10 custom things, and when you look at the process that they can go through, oh, you guys can do that with your system. How do you do that? Goes to screen, So it's customized enough over the years that it can do it has a huge amount of functionalities. They don't want to leave it, but they want to leave it.
They want something more modern, but they can't find it.
Yes, exactly.
So let's have you speak a little bit about the signups in your courtrooms. What have you found? Because they're also looking at doing input switchers.
Yeah.
To allow for HDMI or VGA with audio, obviously, at the table. What have you found after having the signups in? Are most attorneys comfortable with using it? Or is it still something that they feel comfortable plugging that cable in?
A lot of attorneys like to just plug in, from what I've seen. And we have not had enough time of regular in court for me to say, because
Because of the pandemic.
Because of the pandemic. So in Superior Court, this stuff has been installed for a year, but we've not had a year's worth of attorneys coming in figuring out the system. So I've done some training on it for folks. They've looked at it and said, "This is fantastic." I've had a couple of judges look at the system when I've shown them how their new courtroom works, and they said, "Man, I wish I had this when I was a trial attorney." But we don't have a lot of data right now on attorneys. I'll say most attorneys coming in like the simplicity, and I'll say this about sign up: it can be as simple as you want it to be. You don't have to use every feature, and so in our courtroom, the way that it's set up, is we have an evidence PC up closer to the clerk's bench and everything. So with a touch screen there, so you can annotate from there. If an attorney wants to come in and they just got a USB stick with their PowerPoint, they can see, right? Room on, everything comes on, everybody can see everything, annotate on the screen. It can be as simple as that. If they want to wirelessly present, they can, but we haven't had a lot of people doing that yet.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing, some of our early users who are pushing for wireless, they are actually, they're just putting documentation and instruction sheets. This is one that we created for one of our users in Mobile, where this sits at the podiums and get to any tables. So it gives them, you know, if it's, you know, specific to that courtroom, what to do if you have, you know, Mac OS, Windows, or Android.
Right. Get you guys going.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I could send you this.
Really
Is
awesome.
that what you're referring to there, you're saying? that
Yeah.
something-
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing in our courtroom.
To get the structure.
No, I
Yeah.
can send you this. if you
Because
want.
the other thing he kind of alluded to, I wanted to talk a little bit, because we had discussion yesterday about podium versus evidence presentation area. And that's what I was telling him, in your courtrooms, you've got a cabinet there, that's where everything is on, and the podium is just strictly a podium with the microphone on it. Because they have these,
We moved away from the big podiums and now it's just, most courtrooms just have a small podium with enough room for a mic and, you know, your notes.
yeah, exactly. And we put 83-inch monitors in your courtrooms, right?
82, yeah.
82s?
Yeah, 82 on the wall, 24s at each of the
Yeah.
council tables.
And you can see that from the back of the
Oh
courtroom.
gosh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying yesterday, because a lot of people like to go monster. What size is this?
It looks close.
Yeah, it's pretty close to,
Yeah.
that's probably an 80. Yeah.
Conception. You know, and a small county commission is like, we need a 98-inch monitor. And the room's not even bigger than that. You don't need that.
They're planning on watching
First
football.
row, first row of the movie,
After hours.
first row of the movie theater.
Yes,
And then there's a
exactly.
dais in front of it. I'm like, do you understand with this ceiling, that comes down 4 feet? Like, you're gonna see this person is gonna be sitting in front of you.
In front of
that.
your TV, you want to see
And
the
they're just
TV.
like, no, we need your 98 inch.
Fine, whatever.
I gave you a 98, so
And that's for your home, you also do.
yeah.
And then during install, though, the number of times, if you're walking an 82-inch television down the hall to go install somewhere, the number of times you're going to get a comment from someone, it's guaranteed. Some one person, you bring that to my truck,
Yeah.
guaranteed
My
every
truck's
time.
not-
Oh, that will.
And
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You were going to ask a question. Please don't ask if we can deliver to your house.
So it's not allowing me to, you just changed it. It's not allowing me to create a password, well, not a password, but a signature at all. So it's something with the app,
With the eyes.
yeah.
Could you at least bring a document up?
I can bring it back, you know.
What I want. If you're bringing the document up and it's on the screen,
But it's coming to up to an app, it's not coming up to the web browser.
Right.
Right, so we can't bring up an app outside. Goes through a web browser, then it's within the realm of possibility.
okay,
Even though they're using a web browser to view this,
Oh, they are.
this looks, I mean, I think it's the web browser. You said it looks like an Outlook field.
Well, but Outlook is its own app, and this is its own app. If it was a web browser, they would be going into Edge or
Yeah, we're not
Chrome.
doing that.
Now, does this store it as a document or?
so we don't know. She showed me on YouTube.
I think over the years, so I've been working with judicial for almost 20 years. Most of that was with VIS previously. And I decided to jump ship. More. Much nicer.
And we still come back for more.
And you still come back. I just like on the manufacturing side more than the integration side.
Let's see if you can sign this. So you said we're in this document. I pulled it up, but it's inside the app.
Right, but it's on your PC, so it's not gonna interact directly to your PC. If it was a web browser, then I can pull up our web browser on Sign App. And if there was a way to log in through there, you log into that web browser, and now that's, depending on what the capabilities of the solution through the web browser are, then it's the realm of possibility that you can maybe either use your finger to sign it or connect that signature pad to do it. But in this manner, that's not gonna.
Because I guess technically, when you go through the web browser and you access it, you're actually in at the same level. Whereas if we're
Well,
Bluetoothing in here,
so, the only other thing that I can think of actually is, hold on, can you hit Windows K? Because Windows does have a feature, Americast, that we can take control of the PC. So when we do that, so for example, now from here, right, I should have full control again with you. So I do have control of your PC, so how do I get to that document?
Oh, it's showing up on your computer.
That's the document.
This,
Oh, it's not. Oh, I.
It's a different screen. You're looking at this window back.
which is weird because I can see it here and on all these others, but I can't see it.
You're looking at that.
Yeah. But I can see it on my touch screens here. So, for example,
I get the stylus.
let me start it out. Place. Let me see if I have like just one of those cheap like walkway generic.
yeah.
I want to see if I can save it.
If I go out, it could be a quiet morning. If I'm there, I'll be like working on the things. But if I leave the office, I can. This real quick. I'm doing it right now. Right.
Back there, I say I'm well, and thank you. That's what you do. I want to know how you do.
So, yes, anything else that we discussed yesterday?
No, I want to try something. I just want to try something. So let's try one of these. If this works.
Yeah.
back. So I think we select that on here. So, wait, no, I need to select,
It was this one. Oh,
yeah, it says,
that's because I
now I know there's a bring a stylus. I
We
wonder,
can work around it. I feel like we can get.
well, yeah, I think so
It's a-
too, I just gotta,
in here.
this one touchscreen?
Because at that point, you can also keep that tablet and separate thing.
Mhm.
We won't need to separate. Sign that. Signature pad.
Alright. So, it doesn't register right. Something,
So when you took over.
yeah, when I take over, it just doesn't register, so.
So you're saying that we can show it on, we can display it, but it won't sign, we won't be able to use it as sign app or save it as a record and sign app.
Well, you can save it as a record, you can't use sign up as a method for sign.
Okay.
Yeah, this for document signing has always been, man, that's what I was alluding to before when I started talking about that in almost 20 years. That's one of the consistent questions that people always ask. Can I use a presentation system to sign a document? We're getting closer there, I think, if they would implement something like DocuSign into their solutions, where you can access it through a web browser, then it becomes easier. But these companies, I never realized Tyler was.
Lights up. Have you guys had that conversation with judges about? I've had a couple conversations regarding signing documents, and some of the judges are perfectly fine with using, like, unrelated to any of this, having their laptop, touchscreen laptop with a stylus, and they'll just sign on the screen, and they'll send it to somebody. It's just an annotation, so they'll send a PDF to somebody, and they'll go, "That's signed." Well, the person goes to print it off, and there's no signature because in Adobe you've got to print the annotations or markups, right?
Right.
So, but they're calling it a digital signature. I'm like, no, judge, that's not a digital signature. That's an annotation. And that distinction for some of the judges,
Well, what's the difference? I mean, if you're signing, if your signature's on a document.
because anybody else could copy that annotation, dump it on another document. There's no none of that infrastructure behind.
It's not flattening the layers when you.
Either it doesn't flatten the layers, or there's no way to go back and say the judge actually signed this at 10:52:03 a.m. on such a. There's no certificate involved.
Got it.
It's just a mark on screen, and that's.
So in Odyssey, that's what they're doing actually, because the document only lives in Odyssey.
gotcha.
So they sign it and they apply their little JPEG image to the document.
Gotcha. But there's I'm sure some sort of timestamp within Odyssey. that
It does,
says-
yeah.
So there's a
It does,
tracking. Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
And when I was in Fulton, when we started doing e-signature, I think the judges actually had a pen that they would use to access, and it would have that timestamp on there. But when it comes to security, they would have their pen, and that pen allows them to get in. So if somebody's copying signatures or doing something like that, it's almost like the old rubber stamp,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
I think in regards to the DocuSign, there was some security issues amongst the bench in regards to that part because I asked the same question. Felt like using e-signature, why can't we use it here? What's the problem? And even with the DocuSign, it's being used for everything else.
Home buying, I mean,
Right,
car buying, everything. Yeah.
Right. So what makes it different here? You know, and I think at this point it's only because
100-year-old
I
law.
said so.
Probably a 100-year-old law that's
Right.
in place, and
They don't want to go away from it.
yeah,
So-
it's so difficult to change that they're like, just leave it.
So, I don't know. I feel like if it makes sense, that's going to be the
Where was
push.
it that some municipality had like some 100-year-old law, and the city had to pay the guy like $100,000 because if you went and claimed something as a fine towards the city, they had, based on that law, they had to pay. It was like some crazy thing. They quickly took it off.
Sounds like
And it was like something as stupid as painting a building red. You know, we can't have red buildings, and if I come here and say so, you need to pay me, and this is what the fine is. And it was some ridiculous amount of money over some ridiculously stupid thing like that.
Well, smart.
Yeah, I was like, geez.
Reading the old law.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got a lot of time on your hands if you're going back and finding some 100-year-old law that you can use.
So we were looking at, just talked about the camera. With the two cameras, basically, it's gonna have a split screen, to show the two views. I don't know, but I think with everything that we covered yesterday, that
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest issue was the Zoom and the output.
I did have one question about that. Zoom. So you said each sign app device has a Zoom room, or you can get.
Or you can have a floating license. Doesn't necessarily have to be a license dedicated to that particular sign app.
Okay.
So
Are they interchangeable on each device?
yeah, because you can have it set up so that it automatically goes into the room. So that's when you're allocating 1-to-1. Or you can have it so it's no different than when you log into the laptop that says meeting ID, your name, and password.
Okay.
And then the other thing that we're doing, we have this one feature we didn't go over, which is vSolution Meeting. With vSolution Meeting, what we're doing with it, we're completely revamping it. It can integrate with your Office 365 or your Exchange instance if you have it on-prem. And as of the next firmware, if you have these signups set up as resources within that Exchange or Office 365, you can invite that sign up into the meeting. You can now, it now has either Zoom or whatever web conferencing solution you want to use, if not this. And when it's time to start the meeting, sign up will say, okay, it's time to start the meeting. It'll send the host of that meeting a pin to assure that that's the appropriate person starting it. And you hit start, immediately start your meeting, and you're ready to go in presentation mode.
Okay.
And it'll parse out all the information, ID, password, etc.
I like that.
Part of what we're calling our one-touch conference solution. Just making it simple.
Is that an additional feature? Or
It'll be
does that come
included. The only feature pack that we sell for sign up is the Matrix feature pack, which is controlling the routing for the receivers. But outside of that, the Zoom,
you get that?
Teams, webcasting,
Podcasting is
uh,
all included.
the meeting, Office 365 is all included in the solution.
So Matrix is the.
It used to be that we used to sell each one of those as the meeting, webcasting, Matrix, and Office 365 were all each individual feature packs. Now everything except the solution Matrix feature pack.
When is your next, when is the next firmware? Is it a
July.
couple months? Okay, cool.
But webcasting is already available as of our last.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so
That's why I said you need to burn.
yeah, so all this is already available.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we're just revamping the meeting portion of it. It's there now, but we're just making it.
Okay. Awesome.
Typically we put out 2 major releases a year. One in the spring, one in the fall, which is a major feature update to sign up. And then we put 2 non-feature updates out, summer and winter, which are just bug fixes. Sure.
Any other questions you guys might have?
Right off, and I think between yesterday and today, were answered.
What is your timeline?
No, Judge was talking about next week. She said next
He's like, oh, you answered my question.
Not saying that we've got our first jury trial June 21st. There's a lot of balls we want to put in motion. And that's why we were asking yesterday.
Here, why don't you sign right here? That's a quick turnaround.
No, it is. It is. I mean, I honestly don't think that's when it'll happen. I mean, optimistically, I'd like to see it happen before the fall. Because the first step is getting through this jury trial.
They're not even doing jury. They're not letting let people in that courthouse yet.
And that's why I feel like we have time. I mean, we're not so far behind. I mean, you've got Fulton blazing the trail. They're actually trial and error some of these issues as well. But I think Cobb is right behind them, and I don't know anyone else that's getting beyond that. So I think we're at a right pace, and that's what I keep preaching to the bench. We need to make sure
Yeah, but
what we're doing.
everybody's ready to go.
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
I think it's what's going to wind up happening is that you're going to have a couple on the front end, and then everybody's going to go, "We've got to be going now." So I feel like we're not going to have that lead time. You go, "Oh, it's taking them a couple months." We're going to be expected to do it in a couple weeks. Like, let's do it just like what they did. You know?
Yeah. And you can't tell them no.
No.
And that's the challenge. But with us, we're actually trying to do 3 courtrooms. So even with this model, we spoke of one yesterday, but if we get 3 going and we'll just run off those 3, eventually we'll be able to do, the remaining 7, whatnot. But we can only do what we can do. And I just want to make sure whatever we do, it makes sense and we're
We
effective.
don't have to repeat ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, and like I told you yesterday, you're not facing any struggles that any other county is. I mean,
Oh, no, I cover judicial for Wolfers and Nationwide. This is inherent to everybody.
yeah.
I mean, and the further west you go, the worse it gets.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's the west
Because,
coast.
you can attend all these different webinars that they have available, and that's all they talk about. And it's like, you need to move on something.
Yes.
You can't just keep talking about it. Something has to be done.
But therein lies the problem, I feel, because it goes back to the 100-year-old rule or law that everybody wants to follow. Nobody wants to blaze a new trail.
Yeah.
And they're scared of the
And this
appellate
pandemic has
repercussions.
required that. I mean,
It
this
does.
pandemic is a paradigm shift, and I don't think we're going back to what it used to be.
Right.
We've had that discussion. Like,
No, yeah,
over
I would say go
courtroom
back.
I was down there. He said, we will never see our courtrooms back the way they were, where you have all these people coming into the courthouse all the time. We're never going to go back.
A lot of people think the courthouses will shrink.
And they should. They should. They
I
should.
mean, traffic, why do you need to come into the courtroom? And, I mean, that's one thing.
Because that's how it's always been done.
I know, but the pandemic's proven you can do it through Zoom. And you can do it much more efficiently. And you're making so much more money because you're getting to them like that.
You're rolling through.
Our chief judge in state court said that to me on a phone call a couple weeks back. She said that they've already changed. She said because of the pandemic, we've already changed the way that we do, their calendars. So they'll have, instead of having an 8:30 calendar and a 1:30 calendar, now they've got an 8:30 calendar, a 10:30, a 1:30, a 3:30, right? So they're breaking it up. She said, this is better anyway. I don't know why we were doing it that way before. We're never doing that again.
Because we're creatures of comfort.
Yeah,
and we don't like
absolutely.
to
Yeah,
change.
absolutely.
Right.
But she was adamant that no, we're not doing it the same way. We're going to keep some of these adjustments that we've made going into the future. She said, I'm not going to have my courtroom that crowded.
Now, some things you have to get juries. at
Sure.
home,
Yeah, got a
no
jury
more.
trial. Yep.
Judicial thinking doesn't allow you to think outside the box,
No,
right?
it's intentionally rigid.
Right. Right.
Yes.
And that's where our problem is. And also, growing up, we always saw the Jetsons, and we thought year 2000, the Jetsons. And
Yeah, we're supposed to be in flying cars right now.
exactly.
Come on, Back to the Future. That was
Right.
where's my car? My lace, self-lacing shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But where do you switch over? At what point do we say, all right, I'm tired of horseback, and I want to move to flying?
Yeah.
It takes something like a pandemic to say stop, restart to get better. So that's pretty much our outlook in selling that well to
That's
so
hope. I'm hoping that a lot of things, there's a lot of things that, good came out of the pandemic and just the way we operate and live. I'm hoping those things stick around, but let's see. But we just have it.
We are.
And everybody goes to what they, that security blanket.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I take my kids, right? They have that old blanket that we just bought you 20 new ones. No,
Yeah.
I want this one old one.
So my next question then is, do you want to go down and take a look at the courtrooms down, like,
Yeah, I mean, because that's the next step, just like we said yesterday, to see not only the courtroom, but I referenced the courthouse, like the atrium, how you guys had, I was told how you have the different departments in the atrium, set up little tables,
Right.
and whoever comes in, if they need to come in, they only come to that area.
I think some of that's changing a lot for us because I don't know. There are a whole lot of chefs in the kitchen, and where you've got different departments are like, we have to have people back here in the office. So some of that has already been changing for us where they have an information desk, but I don't think they're doing.
Yeah.
As of about
Sounds
a
of it
week,
now,
week and a half ago, they shifted it to where they're sending people into the different departments. Even if they only send a few in, they're actually sending them down there now. So, but yeah, you'd be welcome to come down and take a look.
Was it helping with traffic,
No, I think it was hurting. I mean,
having them out in,
Yeah.
oh, it was?
yeah, and I think that's for a couple of reasons, but you've got your staff, let's say they're going to talk to somebody in Superior Court Clerk's office about real estate or something. Your staff is down there. You've got bailiffs up at the front staffing desks. Oh, like it's a whole different ball of wax. If fantastic, but I think that what was going on there was that they just had a bunch of forms and you had somebody coming in saying, I need to do legitimation or something like that. And instead of sending them to the law library to talk to somebody there, the bailiff is handing them a form and hoping for the best because that's what they were instructed to do. So it was not.
Yeah, we got legal advice.
They definitely weren't doing it. There was definitely no legal advice, but it was not optimal on probably legal levels. Well, it was not optimal. Because you have people come in and say, I can't get to the clerk's office, you're not letting me through.
Right.
I'm glad I'm not sorry.
And there's no sworn deputy clerk there
Right.
to justify
Yes, exactly. So there were some problematic things there with that setup that
that. That's why I wanted to see it, because when it was explained to me probably about 6 weeks ago, none of that was covered. It was more so thinking because we were trying to set up something similar that actually provided a representative.
now that's the way to go. Absolutely, that would make sense. You put somebody with a desktop or laptop, whatever they need up there with appropriate forms to give to somebody. But this was not.
I didn't know that he just told me that this morning.
Yeah.
Because I was like, we were just talking about it yesterday, how you got everything set out for people. And
It's
he's
like it's no. It's not ideal.
I told them this is a great idea. It looked great when I walked in. I was like, wow, this is impressive. But
Not ideal.
So you guys did it, then. It sucks.
Exactly.
That's all I heard. I was
basically
like,
what I'm hearing. Nice try.
Unfortunately.
Okay, so looking at the week of the 7th of June, would you guys be available to do that? Ben doesn't care because he just sits at home all day watching TV and waits for calls.
That's
The
it.
Jetsons, right?
The Jetsons. Yeah, it's my favorite. It's my
It's
inspiration.
on repeat.
I mean, could we do something like, I think maybe that Wednesday, the 9th? In the morning?
Maybe like 10 a.m.
Well, I was thinking like 7 in the morning. I don't know, how far of a drive is that up here?
It's not that bad, but I wouldn't be driving. I wouldn't drive through Atlanta.
I know.
At 10?
Heading southbound, you'd be fine.
Oh, okay.
So you're thinking like 10-ish?
Yeah, 10 would be fine.
10?
On the 9th?
On the 9th, will that work for you guys? And then Ben will get up the vacuum cleaner and vacuum out the
Make sure.
courtrooms, make sure everything's cleaned up. But then we'll show off his stuff. I'll send an invite for it.
Perfect. So I'm talking about them about input boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can get traction on that.
For what?
Input boxes for the attorneys.
That would be phenomenal. Yeah.
That's your next.
That's what I'm trying.
Explain what,
Like it.
Just like he's got that little receiver sitting right there. If you could have something that small sitting on your attorney table, your counsel
Like an
table,
HDMI input.
with an HDMI input, and it just talks directly back to your sign-up system.
isn't that what we discussed?
Isn't that what Gwinnett has?
It is, but what we're doing is not a Wolf Vision product, it's an Alona product.
Oh, okay.
We don't-
That's what we have too.
It is small
Okay.
like that, but
But that
Yeah,
would be
this
great
is-
to have it integrated with your system because that's really clean.
Within-
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's all the same system all the way
Yes.
through. So Wolf Vision is trying to take over the world.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say that.
Inputs,
Started with
outputs.
document cameras.
Well, that was my. I came on board last year, and I was like, I need output devices. Like, we're not doing that. Like, I need it.
Yeah.
It's a pandemic. What else are you doing? Come on.
Yeah, well,
I've never actually seen one.
and plug it.
Yeah, just enough. Take off the security thing so you don't get electrocuted. Just kidding.
So it has two HDMI's out?
No, it has one.
Or is it USB?
That's USB. That's USB on the left.
So how different would that be from actually sending it here?
It would just come up as a source in your source menu. Is my vision, but it's. I mean, that's not.
Yeah, no.
That's not really work.
That's a great idea. Instead of having whiteboard, browser, et cetera, down at the bottom, just
Attorney table 1, attorney table 2.
That would-
Okay, now I just need to record you guys.
It's already recorded.
it's live streaming. Exactly.
That's true. We already forgot about that.
It's a great idea.
That's interesting.
And it would eliminate a potential spot there. That would be awesome, man.
Looking at points of failure is what you're looking at.
I'm looking at fewer pieces of equipment
Yeah,
in the
I
room.
know.
Yes,
I know.
yes.
Because this is already, we call this evidence presentation in OIs.
Yeah, it is.
So now you're just adding to
You
that.
add to that, and you get your peripheral devices go straight to that. It's
Hold on a second.
Gotta get somebody.
I need a witness.
Okay. Did you ever have Greg come out and do work on your DCR stuff out at the juvenile court? Greg Shea? You remember that
Yes,
name?
yes, I do.
He actually works here too now.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Oh, you lost a lot of people. Yes.
Not happy about that.
they were not small players either.
I know that one. Damien, that one hurt.
So tell me, you worked with Edwin quite a few, but just a little bit. Why didn't they want DCR in the courthouse? Just tell me.
He just never really wanted to talk about it because of the court reporters.
Court report fought against.
It's kind of the same thing over at Fulton County where they fought so long, the court reporters are so strong down there that they were just like, no. And finally, Yolanda Lewis was the one who said, yeah, we need to have reporting.
So they do DCR now.
They put on an RFP.
Oh, it's not in there yet.
No, they did, but they chose FTR.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah. So they only put it in the magistrate courtrooms. It was supposed to be in all the courtrooms.
I told you I like DCR a lot better than FTR. Do you use FTR?
They do too. No, we use.
Have you
we use
used it before?
I've seen it before. They came in and they gave us a presentation, but it was not really.
And
We
I
were
like-
already using DCR in state court, I think, at that point.
Mhm.
FTR came in several years ago before we moved into Superior Court, and this was.
They were promised and under-delivered. It's kind of like,
Mhm.
it's like, it's pretty flashy, pretty damn flashy, but in the real world, they've always had a problem with support. They just don't support.
The DCR stuff is rock solid.
Yeah.
It's rock solid.
It's so simple to use. Love it.
Let's just put it in there. Slide it right on there.
I can't put anything in there. go get approval from. Are you,
Oh, yeah. They just,
they probably need to upgrade and put in cameras in.
they do, that's the same discussion I'm having.
Oh, okay.
It's the same thing. That's why I say
Because
this
the
is nothing,
DCR
new. This is
records
every,
everything, and it
every
records
quarter.
the audio and visual into a file, and you can pull it up.
Whichever.
Yes.
just,
Come here,
what's this?
Marta.
That's what I thought.
Well, because I'll just view it as well, the core does it. My cap of the core is too big and too expensive. So,
Yeah, but that's why the Core Pro now, that has the ability for the HDMI input. That's the first one. But I think that makes sense to have a small box.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's make it happen.
Because then you can switch inputs from anywhere that you got your touch screen.
correct.
So instead of having a touch screen or what have you up at the judge's bench and then one down at your evidence display, it's you can have a witness sitting there. Like this is what we've run into. You've got an expert witness who doesn't have access to a laptop sitting there. Like we don't have a plug-in and input at the witness stand.
Right.
So, I mean, now we do because we've got signups in there, so we can run wirelessly. But before, that was a problem with our pre-Wolf Vision system, is that you'd have an expert witness with his laptop in front of him, and he said, "How do I show this to everybody? I want to show them certain documentation, yeah, whatever it is that he's an expert on." So, but you could right there just correct it.
Yeah, because it goes back to attorneys, they're not technical. I mean, they're not.
I love the wireless part, but that's probably one of the best things about having the option to plug in is how simple that would be. Nobody has to worry about, I have an Android device, do I have, whatever.
Well, I mean, Android devices are difficult as heck. Sometimes I look at these Android devices,
Yes.
especially the older ones, and I'm like,
Mhm.
how do you mirror?
Mhm.
Like, where's the button? I mean, it's not.
Yeah, people don't have to remember Miracast versus SmartView versus whatever, proprietary ways to be sharing the screen.
The only thing about those Androids is they change so much per device.
Yep.
They do.
The manufacturer.
Yeah.
It's just.
Same options.
Was Marta at
CTC.
CTC? Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other scenarios you might see an issue here?